Right, guys, some breaking news on Lionel Messi. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but I'll read out the quote from Galtier, the PSG manager, who has confirmed that Lionel Messi will leave PSG at the end of this week after that final game. Galtier said, "I had a privilege of coaching the best player in the history of football. It will be Leo's last match at Parc des Princes against Clermont." Not surprised, Nabe, but I guess this kind of allows us to fully start in terms of thinking about the next move for Lionel Messi. First of all, how do you feel about his time at PSG? I mean, he didn't really want to go there, but he was there. Will his time there be seen as a success, a failure, somewhere in between? What do you think?
You'd imagine they signed the Champions League. And also because there was only one place he could really go outside of Barcelona. So I think he might look back and say, I won the World Cup while I was at PSG. I don't know if players see the two together. Maybe when he's at Barca, he was maxing himself out and couldn't do that. Whereas at PSG, he sort of took his foot off the gas. Yeah. And then when he went to the World Cup, he was in top shape, came back, foot off the gas again. Maybe you can't do that when you're at Barca. So maybe he thinks, I had a good time there. I think that's probably how he sees it. Although towards the end, there's been fans have booed him at times, which I think has been unacceptable. But that's PSG fans for you. They want success and they want to win absolutely everything. In terms of trophies, he will have wanted to win the Champions League. There's no doubt about that. And he hasn't done that. So in that sense, it's probably potentially a failed stint.
So in terms of the runners and riders for Lionel Messi next season, Barcelona is an obvious one. Inter Miami is an interesting one as well. There's some talk about possibly going to Inter Miami, then being loaned to Barcelona so that Barcelona could get around the money of it. Guillaume Balaguer, who is the biographer of Lionel Messi, he said that doesn't look like it would happen. And then, of course, Saudi Arabia as well. When I have looked at the betting for it, it doesn't go Al Hilal. It goes any Saudi Arabian team, which I find hilarious. But we were chatting just before we started filming here. You know, if you think back to sort of China and the money that they spent, when you think Benzema, Ronaldo, of course, is already there, and Lionel Messi looking quite strongly like he will go there. It's basically about money or the romance of Barcelona. How do you feel about that? Is it one where Saudi Arabia, for them to get the eyeballs of the world, it's not just about Lionel Messi, or more importantly, not just about Ronaldo, it's actually about numerous stars coming through the door? And do you see that the money being enough of a grab for Lionel Messi to go there?
I think you're right in terms of they obviously want more players coming through the door to make this Saudi league more attractive. We were talking before, weren't we, about when Ronaldo joined, how many eyeballs were watching those first few games that he was at Al Nassr. But if I'm Messi, I would rather have a romantic reunion with the club that I love. I mean, he's got more money than you could ever dream of having in a lifetime.
You can never have enough.
You can have enough. You know, let's say you were Messi, for example, but
imagine that.
Yeah,
that'd be great. Huh?
Your affiliation is obviously to Liverpool. So let's say you had the chance to go to Saudi, or you could go back and play for the club that you love. What would you do?
In all fairness, the way he left Barca, I think that was like a really nice cut-off point. Like, obviously, he didn't want to leave and the club didn't want him to go, but there was tears, etc., etc. Can't reverse that. It's like going back and watching Dark Knight in a different order. Like, why would you do that?
Well, yeah, in terms of going back, there's two things to sort of worry about in terms of if he was to go back to Barcelona. One is, can you deliver like you did before? And then secondly, can the team deliver like they did before? What would be your answer to those two questions when it comes to Lionel Messi? Because that's the danger going back. I think the other side of it is you go, where's the sort of, professional desire to play at the highest level for as long as possible? Which to be honest, I get that. And again, in terms of when we always talk about Ronaldo and Messi, which is very distant now, although it wasn't before the World Cup, I think it becomes even more distant if he does go back to Barcelona. So the sort of PR play is Barcelona, but in reality, is it a dangerous move for? Yeah.
He's 36 in 23 days. Like, I get the professional aspect, but then my angle on it is he's done his bit at Barca. He won absolutely everything. He's tried his hand in Paris. He's won the World Cup, and I think for him as a player, he's gone, I've completed the game by winning the World Cup. Do I now need to go back to Barca, who've just